Good evening. It's excuse me. It's Gary Sly and the Legacy of Handmade Objects. As you can see, the shadows have lengthened. It's late in the day today. I'm running a little late getting started, but did want to come and chat with you for a little bit today. It's Monday, February the 2nd. We've had a couple nights in a row of temperatures down into the 20s. So a few pipes have been bursting and things here in Florida have been a little exciting from the cold, but warmed it back up into the 50s today, and we're looking forward to a little more of our normal weather coming up over the next couple weeks. I'm pretty excited to be heading down to the Florida State Fair on Friday to see how my 50 state quilt has done in the competition. Even if I don't win anything, I'm really excited about seeing it hanging up in a public forum and see what it looks like. So I'm getting ready to go do that. And that led me to think a little bit today about the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the role of handmade products and stitching and all that sort of stuff, in not only in the history of this country, but also in the thoughts of the celebration of this year. I get a sense, and I talk to a lot of people in the course of a week, that there's a lot of discomfort in this country. Politics have been pretty unsettled, I'll say, and I'm not saying that from any particular political point of view, though I do have my own personal points of view. I'm not trying to pontificate on that. I'm just saying that I think there's a good bit of unrest and uncomfortableness about where we are as a nation, which makes it kind of hard for people to sort of throw themselves into the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration. I graduated from high school in 1976, and so I well remember the celebrations then. It seems like every community had something scheduled. I'm not sure if I see that same level of celebration. Maybe 250 is different too, and not quite the same. But what I often say to people, and what I try to keep in mind myself, is that no matter what happens on the national level or the state level or in the political world above where we live, you and I still live in communities. We're still neighbors to folks. We still work arm in arm with other professionals. And when these political battles and those that follow them have long been forgotten, we will still be neighbors and members of families and communities and clubs. And so it's something for us to think about, how we can continue to support and care for each other in community, even when the unrest around us seems to be kind of troubling. One thing that I'm doing here, and I hope it will become a bit of a success as we move into the year, it's gotten kind of a slow start, is I'm doing something called the Leesburg Community Quilt Project. I really haven't publicized it very much because I'm still cutting up quilt squares. I bought various fabrics, various colors of fabric, like these here, and I intended to have all this done before the end of last year, and of course I didn't do that. So I'm busy cutting squares right now, and the way the project works is that anybody who lives, works, or loves Leesburg is welcome to come by the shop, pick up a quilt square, and decorate it any way they want. Now, if you're a stitcher or a quilter, or if you are willing to embellish it in some wonderful way, that's great. If you just want to sign your name, I have some fabric pins here in the shop, or you can decorate it any way you like. So my goal is to have all of these quilt squares decorated by the end of the year, and I have quite a few. I bought nine yards of 9 colors, so I have 81 yards of fabric that I'm cutting up into 9-inch squares, and my goal is to collect those as they're decorated and create a montage or a community quilt, which is in celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration. It will not have any particular political or religious or ethnic or any other divisive kind of identity. It'll just be community. And that, I think, is, at least from my standpoint, a pretty decent model to try to think about how to celebrate this year. As I mentioned, I think stitching has always been kind of a part of political movements, historic movements, social movements. I was talking to somebody last week about the role of stitching in the suffragette movement when women were working for the right to vote. Women sewed banners, which became a very important part of the campaign to bring the vote to women, not just in this country, but all over Western Europe and other places where women eventually gained the right to vote. There's a lot of activity going on in the crafting world right now, in protest or in celebration. Craftivism is a new term that you might Google if you're interested, where you can see some of the ways that people are using their handmade products to influence and at least express their opinion about things that are happening. I've been thinking about this for a while, of course, because 250 years is a pretty big celebration for a nation. I found a kit in my vintage pile that was clearly made in honor of the 200th anniversary. It's a picture of Paul Revere and the Spirit of 76. The kit was actually put together in 1973, but it's a crewel kit that's still available. And I don't think I'm going to do it myself, but it would be kind of a cool project for somebody to complete if they're interested in that. So I had that, and I found another vintage pattern from about 2000 rather, about the year 2000, which is a long stitch piece of a vintage bear. So we're starting to see quite a few patriotic patterns released by various designers. We start to see projects and things like that develop. And I would encourage folks to do whatever is a way for them to celebrate the anniversary and show their sense of patriotism in a way that resonates for them. My friend Chrissy Morgan, who is the designer for Finally a Farm Girl, has done some really nice designs recently that have been quite popular. I think I probably mentioned this one before, but Dear Soldier is one of her patterns that gives honor to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Washington, and is a great way for us to express patriotism. Thinking about the armed forces and people who have served on our behalf is certainly a great way to express our patriotism without getting into the political dialogue that seems to surround so much of that. Mystic Stitch had this wonderful design of the armed forces, which is quite graphic and beautiful. And then here's an old full coverage pattern of the Iwo Jima landing of the flag there during World War II. So if you're interested in thinking about what you might want to do this year, use your imagination. Maybe think about some of the ways that you could honor America or honor what is valuable to America for you. I found a whole stack of patterns back in the back that represent various patriotic themes from past years. I'm not going to go through those, but it's not too hard to find images of the Stars and Stripes and honoring our armed forces in various ways as we think about this anniversary year. I'd be interested in knowing what you're doing to celebrate the 250th anniversary. If you are celebrating, feel free to send me pictures or give me some responses and let me hear what kind of ways you and your community are helping to build that spirit of patriotism that's important. Remember back in episode 118, I told you I was going to give away a kit by Praiseworthy Stitches. It's a shabby chic pin cushion. I put all the names in a hat of those who responded and said they'd be interested. And the winner is Rena Harris. And so even if Rena doesn't hear me announce her name on here, I'll get in touch with her via her YouTube channel and let her know that I need her address, and I'll ship that off to her. And I'll have another giveaway in a month or so. I can't say that I'm organized enough to be able to finish one and start another one right away, but I'll certainly be moving in that direction. So I'll just say, I think the way history works and the way the cycles of history works have always been something that have fascinated me. I remember being told in college, in some class I was in, political science or history, that great empires tend to rise and fall over the course of about 250 years. And while I'm not predicting the fall of our empire or our nation or anything like that, I do think it's worth considering what values are important to us and what we need to be paying attention to. Community is the heart of any empire or any nation, and I hope that we can respond by being kind to our neighbors and by building community. I think that's probably where I'll stop for today. I might get myself into hot water if I dig too much further here, and I don't want to do that. So I'll leave it at that. Happy February. I hope things are warming up where you are. And if you do have some ideas about how you're planning to celebrate this 250th anniversary, I'd be happy to hear them. As always, this is Gary Sly and the Legacy of Handmade Objects.